Yeah, can we start?
Perfect.
Now see, today we are going to go through requirement elicitation or requirement generation techniques, right? Now, see whether these techniques have to be used or not, it all depends on the nature of the project. All the projects may not require requirement generation, right? For example, some of the projects that come to you, they have all the scope defined, right? The scope is very, very clearly defined in some projects. In some projects, scope is not very clearly defined, so you need to elicitate or you need to generate or gather the requirements, right? So we'll go through all the requirement generation techniques. Now, one technique for finding out the requirements or generating requirements is document analysis. Right? One technique is document analysis. Now, what is document analysis? Now, to generate the requirement, you can look at some of the previous documents, like business plans, service agreements, marketing material, process diagrams, right? The user manual, the application software documentation. You can also look at documents such as request for proposal, right, and other documents. So from the documents, you can gain knowledge about the project, right? And this technique is document analysis. This is one of the technique, right? But again, the requirement generation from this technique also depends on the accuracy level of the document, right? Now, second technique is focus groups. Now, what are focus groups? What are focus groups? Now, see, focus groups are pre-qualified stakeholders, right, which are relevant to the project, right? And focus group activity is, facilitated by a moderator or a facilitator. The key outcome of a focus group is opinions from these pre-qualified stakeholders and subject matter experts. The outcome of focus group will never be a consensus, right? See, all the pre-qualified stakeholders will meet, right? There will be a facilitator, right? They will discuss about the requirements and they will come out with the different viewpoints, right? So the outcome of focus group is never a consensus, but viewpoints of the set of people who are called as focus groups, right? With respect to requirements. They will give their viewpoints, which can later be analyzed. So are you getting what is focus groups? Are you getting the meaning of focus groups? See, few things which are very, very important from the perspective of understanding focus groups is, see, the participation, the people who will participate and discuss, right, in focus groups, they are pre-qualified stakeholders, right, and subject matter expert. They are more relevant to the project. They can be end users, right, or they may be related to the area, right, or the domain in which we are doing the project. They will discuss and come out with multiple viewpoints regarding the requirements. The requirements can later be analyzed and you can reach at appropriate conclusion. Now, the main and very important point about focus group is focus group will never lead to a conclusion or a consensus, right? The output will be the viewpoints, right? Now, the third technique can be questionnaires and surveys. Now, can we gather the stakeholder needs through questionnaires and surveys? Can we gather stakeholder needs through questionnaires and surveys?
Yes.
Right? We can get it, right? Now, when is this technique useful? When at a very short span of time, we want to gather data from many people, right? We can quickly accumulate, right, the information from a large number of respondents when we follow focus groups. right? So this is also one technique to capture or gather the requirement. The third technique is benchmarking, right? Can we benchmark the requirement of the project based on any other project? Maybe the project may be done within the organization, or project may be done outside the organization. So this is benchmarking, right? Interviews can also be used to capture the requirement, right? Interviews is another technique which is used to capture the requirements, right? Now, decision making we'll do later. First, let's at least go through all the different types of requirement collection technique. Then we'll discuss what does it mean when we say unanimity, majority, plurality, and autocratic. Now, there are some other data representation techniques also, like mind mapping and affinity diagrams. This is an example of a mind mapping. Now, see, can we depict the requirements of the project visually like this in a form of a mind map? For example, if we have to develop a website, right? Now, the requirements of the website can be generated in a textual format also, and it can be developed in the form of a mind map like this also, right? For example, when you click website, you get header. When you click header, you get logo, navigation link, and social icons. But tell me, which is easier to interpret? Which is easier to interpret, a mind map or a set of textual requirements? Guys, which is easier to interpret? Mind map. A mind map is an easier way to understand or interpret, not textual requirement, right? Tell me, if there is a mind map like this, did you get all the insight into the requirement or not? Right? So this is a visual way of depicting the requirement, mind map. And there are many tools which are there for mind mapping. Now, apart from mind mapping, another visual way of depicting the requirement is affinity diagrams. Now, let me show you affinity diagrams. Right? Now, in the affinity diagram, you have multiple participants, facilitator. You need a whiteboard and sticky notes like this, right? The first time, I saw an affinity diagram, it was in Houston, right? And we were collecting requirements for a data integration project. I was simply an observer. I didn't participate. I saw 15 very senior people, right? They came, they were together in a room. There was a facilitator or moderator who first narrated the requirement. And, all the participants were given a bunch of yellow stickies. In one sticky, you can put one requirement, right? So all the participants, they wrote a requirement on the sticky note and pasted on the whiteboard. Then, it was the job of a facilitator, right, to categorize. Actually, affinity means categorizing, actually. He categorized the requirements under different categories, right? So probably within half an hour, so the basic set of requirements and their categorization was complete. Now, this is something that you arrive at, right? For example, affinity diagram can be used for requirement generation. It can be used for problem solving also, right? So finally, the outcome of an affinity diagram is, all the sticky notes put under proper categories like this. So, guys, any questions on affinity diagram?
Okay, this is fine. The only thing, like, if the same, like, for example, any causes or any
any duplicate sticky note will be removed.
Yeah.
It will be removed. Yes. That is the job of a facilitator here.
And of course, like it comes in which headers, like that needs to be
Yeah, see, no,
clearly
again,
specified.
yeah. So, for example, if you're talking about a human resource management system, so then, there can be different headers like payroll, application management, employee life cycle, right? Succession planning. So again, headers can be refined further also.
And also like a reason it falls in which header, like that needs to be decided by facilitator as well. Maybe
Yeah,
like it,
facilitator. Yeah,
yeah,
see, again, is knowledge of requirement is essential before you start
correct,
doing it.
correct.
Right? You can't simply come and start doing affinity diagrams. Right? Because ultimately, uh, this kind of affinity diagram should help you in creation of a work breakdown structure also.
Yes, yes.
Right? So categorization is important as a part of affinity diagram. Is that okay?
But here, like it is not giving like much clear idea, like poor management. It is something like a question mark. What does it
No, no.
mean?
Yeah, so I didn't. See, this is a very different type of a affinity diagram. Generally, as a quality management tool, we use it, right? In this case, in this context, the last one that I showed you. For example, why customer complaints have increased by 30% in the past 12 months. So we are trying to understand this problem through this affinity diagram, right? So, the delegates, the participants should have put all the sticky notes, right? Like expansion of customer service staff, multiple complaints from the same customers are ignored, right? Customer complaints are regularly neglected, right? They have put all these sticky notes, right? For example, management is preoccupied with office politics, poor management, right? And for example, put common questions into FAQ to reduce the support calls. So these are the reasons why it has happened, right? Why it has happened. Now, then they have put these reasons into different categories. One is staff, another is training, what kind of training is required. What are the issues related to telephone and computer system? What are the issues related to management, right, or customer demand? So once you have all the sticky notes in place, the categorization can be done by the facilitators along with the team. Are you getting this? Are you okay with this, Mohit? Or shall I take some more examples?
No, no, no. I'm clear. Clear.
Yeah, because this can be done in other formats also. For example, in Agile, we use techniques such as prune the product tree, which is very similar to all of these. Can I show you how prune the product tree is done? Can I show you
Sure, sure.
prune the product?
Yeah,
It's almost same. It's again a
yeah.
visual depiction, very same,
Correct.
similar to this. Let me show you that also.
Yeah.
Can you see this diagram? Now, this is prune the product tree. Now, this is a diagram done for a product development, such as, online video library. Now, in a prune the in this approach, again, it's a visual depiction of requirement. You start with the basic trunk. This is the trunk. It consists of the basic requirements, like create the basic website, the content, the create DB and load DB. Then in branches you can put related requirements, right? For example, buy a movie, add a review, browse a movie, rent a movie, right? Then in this branch, free previews, third movie free, click add through, and then here add a new member, contact detail, renew member, right? Member referral, bill, right? So related requirements are put together in a different branch. Now tell me, now can you categorize? Can I call this as a membership module?
Yeah.
Right? This can be one module, membership, right? Right. So movie management happen here, right? Any kind of reward promotion, right? It's more like this, right? So this is also one way of visually depicting the requirements, right? Very similar to affinity diagram, but done in slightly different manner. Again, here also we have we can use a flip chart for drawing the tree, and then these can be yellow sticky notes. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. The only thing, Pankaj, like what's the major difference between like when we say affinity and fishbone?
No, see, affinity and fishbone is different because, see, I'll tell you. In affinity, we select related set, right? We set related set of items together, right? Yes, affinity can also be used for solving the problem, right?
Correct.
Affinity can be used to generate the requirement. Though, fishbone can never be used to generate requirement. Affinity can be used to generate requirement also, right? And in affinity, one of the important aspect is categorization, right? Whereas when we talk about fish and bone diagram, the purpose is different. The purpose is to find out why it is happening, right? The purpose is to find out all the probable causes, right?
Right. Right.
But again, affinity is not about all the probable causes. The purpose of affinity is to generate the requirements, right? For any situation or even solve a problem. But again, the key goal of affinity is categorization, right? You find out the requirements, you find out the reasons for the problem, but you put them under a right category. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's fishbone is something like for the problem, affinity is something to have all the ideas and then you are dividing into like
Yeah.
different.
And again, for affinity can be used for generating the requirements also, and can be used for solving the problem
Correct.
also,
Correct.
right? Right. And in here you might have noticed one thing in affinity diagram. I am not only categorizing, right, the reason from the problem, but I am giving solution also,
Yes.
right? Whereas in case of fishbone, we are only finding out why it is happening. That's it.
Correct.
And often, affinity can give me a lot of probable causes. We saw also affinity should be followed by a Pareto, right, to find the biggest root cause.
Yeah.
Right. And in this case, we don't need a Pareto actually. Now, is that okay?
Yeah, that's clear.
Actually, there used to be a time in PMP, right? I'm talking about 2018, 19. Those days, there were questions coming in the exam that expects us to understand the difference between affinity and fishbone. Now, observation can also be a technique to generate requirements, right? For example, if you can observe people, right, functioning in a role, can we use observation or not? to generate the requirements? Can we use observation to generate the requirements or not?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, Pankaj.
Specifically, when you are implementing ERP or automating any function, you first see how people are manually performing their role, right? This is called as observation. Now, facilitated workshop is a way to generate the requirement, right? You can have people from various areas, right? Sit together and brainstorm about the requirement. Now, this work, as it is called as facilitated workshops, these brainstorming sessions are facilitated by a facilitator. Now, the difference between a facilitated workshop and a focus group is, see, focus group, when we have focus groups, we expect people to give variety of opinions. Whereas, the purpose of facilitated group workshop is to arrive at a consensus, right? For example, if we agree on top 5, see, for example, system might have 10 features, right? Now, which are the top 5 requirements that we have to consider into the project, right? So for this, we need people arriving at a consensus, right? So we use facilitated workshop. Now, the outcome of a facilitated workshop will always be a consensus, unlike focus group where the outcome will be variety of opinions, right? So is the difference clear between facilitated workshop and the focus groups?
Can you explain focus group again, Pankaj?
See, in focus group, we had pre-qualified stakeholders, right?
Yeah.
Discussing about the requirements, right? And they were moderated by a facilitator. And what the outcome of a the outcome of a focus group is the viewpoint of the stakeholders, right? We are not, see, as a result of focus group, we never arrive at a consensus, we never take a decision. The outcome is what? The outcome is viewpoint, which, right? See, the focus group can come out with list of recommendations which can later be analyzed, right? And you can conclude based on that. But the outcome will always be recommendation and the viewpoints.
Okay.
Right? Whereas the purpose of facilitated workshop is you don't need pre-qualified stakeholders here. The stakeholders come together to agree on project's outcome. Maybe the focus group might have given a different viewpoint, and then focus groups can be followed by a facilitated workshops to arrive at an agreement.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Understood.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it's clear now.
So which of these focus groups or facilitated workshop, right? In which of these techniques we arrive at a consensus or agreement?
Facilitated workshop.
Yeah, right. And in focus group, we never arrive at consensus. The focus group is to give the viewpoint, right?
Yeah.
Now, apart from this, we can use context diagrams also, right? Now, context diagrams are often used in IT world, right? They're often used in IT world. They show interaction between different entities and objects, right? Before we go through context diagram, right, of this university, let's see the context diagram of a basic context diagram. See, a context diagram can be a sequence diagram also. And this diagram that is there in front of you, a sequence diagram, right? This was a collaboration diagram, right? Now, this diagram shows a sequence of activities, whereas this diagram shows the interaction between various objects, right, or entities. This diagram is about, the whole process, right, on how you withdraw money from ATM. Suppose, you are being constructing a banking website, right? And how the customer interacts with the bank and, withdraw money or do various kind of transactions. Now, please look at this whole flow yourself. I'll give you 2 minutes. Just look at the whole flow. This is actually what happens when you withdraw money from ATM. Guys, can we discuss the whole flow? Now, this is the first step you take when you withdraw money from ATM. This is the first step you take.
Yes, Pankaj.
Right? You insert ATM card into ATM, right? The ATM displays prompt for the PIN, right? Then you enter the PIN into ATM, right? Now ATM verifies the PIN. Now see, I have not shown the whole system, right? In a whole sequence diagram, it might show how the request goes to the application server, right? And some business logic might run here. And then how from this application server, it goes into the database server, right? This is how the ATM verifies the PIN, right? Now, the third step is, after ATM has verified the PIN, the ATM will display a service options, whether you have to withdraw, whether you have to deposit, or whether you have to check the balance, right? Customer select option on the ATM, right? ATM performs the selected business transaction, right? And maybe updating the database, right? Through the application server. ATM ejects card from the slot. This is an example of a context diagram, which is called a sequence diagram, right? Why it is called a sequence diagram? Because it depicts how the transactions, how the interaction is happening between the customer, right, and the system, and it is being represented sequentially, right? Every step has been given, right? That will happen. Now, a context diagram can be a simple collaboration diagram which shows interaction between various objects or entities like university, private sector, government, user community, education community, and industry. Right? This context diagram can also be used to generate the requirements or to write the requirements. Now, I'll come at multi-criteria decision analysis because it is primarily for prioritization, right? But before that, let's discuss about some other techniques also, like prototyping. Now tell me, does prototype helps us to understand the requirements better or not?
Yes, Pankaj.
Yes.
But we can have various different types of prototypes. A prototype can be a simple paper and pen prototype. It can be a prototype as a wireframe, right? You can develop wireframes using Visio as a tool. A prototype, right, for a IT application can be some HTML website, right? A prototype can be a clay-based model also, like in the construction industry, right? A prototype can be a walkthrough, like a small movie. See, for example, construction people, right? When you build cities, townships, right, or maybe airports, you show a small movie that depicts the entire airport, all the layout and everything, right? A small animated movie that is called as walkthrough. So any such prototype can be used, right? So are you getting what is prototype?
Yes.
Right. So prototypes can be developed because see, the benefit of prototypes is you can get feedback easily on prototype because it is more like a working model, right, of the expected product, right, which can be functional or non-functional or partly functional, right?
Okay.
Now, storyboarding techniques like user stories can also be used to depict the requirements, right? We have seen user stories in Agile, right? Now, overall, after the requirement generation technique, we get business requirements, stakeholder requirements, solution requirements, right? Project requirements and transition requirements, right? Now, what are business requirements? Can we take example of all of these? What are business requirements? What are business requirements? Tell me. And how they're different from stakeholder requirements.
Requirements which will define your end product.
Okay. Actually, business requirements are the requirements that represents your business needs. Business requirements represent your business needs. For example, why you are doing this project, what are the business outcomes you are achieving as a result of the project?
Right, okay.
Right. The business requirements are that much only. A very high level set of requirements. Which business needs are being fulfilled through a requirement? Right?
Yes, Pankaj.
Maybe more revenues, more profitability, right? Reduction in wastage, maybe better quality. So they are more related to the business benefits. So do every projects have business requirements or not? So Ankush understood it, right? So Mayank, Preeti, are you understand, and Divya, are you understanding what are business requirements?
Yeah, business requirements can be dependent on environmental requirements. However, stakeholder requirements cannot be dependent on environmental requirements. Is it so?
See, what do you mean by saying environmental?
Like, by environmental, I mean environmental factors like I don't have exactly the example of environmental factors, but I am able to get what I'm saying.
See, business requirements are simply business needs. See, why I am doing this project, right? Which business purpose this project is solving, right? For example, what are the business benefits, right? For example, if I am building if I'm planning to build an e-commerce portal, right? Or if I'm planning to sell online, why do I sell online? So that I make more money. I have a wider customer base. So these are what? Business requirements. Right? Now, stakeholder requirements actually represent stakeholder needs. Do stakeholders have expectations from the project, right? For example, with an e-commerce website, some stakeholder might accept that, might have a requirement or expectation that, they can shop by one click. They need only one click to shop, right? So this is a stakeholder requirement, right? The stakeholder also expect an app along with the e-commerce website, right? That is a stakeholder requirement, right? Stakeholder expects some discount and promotion schemes, right, to be run, right, on an e-commerce portal. That is a stakeholder requirement. So every, for example, we are stakeholder for an e-commerce website, right? So whatever are our requirements are stakeholder requirements, right? Is that okay? For example, if Maruti or Honda, they launch a new model of a car. Now, the requirements of Maruti, right, or expectations of the Maruti from that car, will it fall under business requirement or stakeholder requirement primarily? Tell me, guys.
Beg your pardon.
Can you repeat that?
Can you repeat that?
No, is it see, if Maruti launches a new model of a car, now some requirements are Maruti's requirements, right, from the car, and people like us will also expect from the car, right? Different set of people, right? Middle-aged, young people, old people, they will also expect something from the car. Now, what is the requirement of Maruti? See, requirement from Maruti's perspective will be business requirement or stakeholder requirement.
First of all, a business requirement.
Yeah,
Business
business
requirement.
requirement. Whereas people like us will expect different features, right? Like airbag on all the 4 seats, right? Good air conditioning. So our requirements will be what? The stakeholder requirements.
Yeah.
Right.
So
is the difference clear between the business requirement and the stakeholder requirements?
So, like Pankaj, like business requirement is something like overall organization or like owner or sponsors requirement. But this
Yes, they're
stakeholder
more
is
like
some,
sponsors. Yeah, stakeholders can be different categories of and
Yeah.
users of the system, right?
correct. It's something like end user requirement. Stakeholder means like,
It's like an end user requirement, right?
yeah, understood.
For example, if I am building an online video library, right? Now, from an online video library, there will be expectations of senior citizens, middle-aged people, right? Kids, right? So this will be stakeholder requirement. But I am building an online library, right? I'll not be building it for charity, right? I want to make money. So I have, my requirements are what? Business requirements, broader customer base, right? Revenues, profitability, they are business requirements. Is that okay?
Yeah, like here I can see like business requirement is like in general, but stakeholders should be extremely specific, like
Very specific,
yeah,
very
yeah.
specific, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
is the difference clear or not?
Yeah.
So anything to be done with business benefit comes under business requirement, whereas stakeholder requirement are more stakeholder expectations, right? Different stakeholders' needs. Now, what are solution requirements? See, in order to cater to in order to fulfill stakeholders' requirements and business requirement, the system, the functional and non-functional requirements, right, are called as solution requirement. Functional and non-functional requirement will come under solution requirement. Now, what are functional requirements and what are non-functional requirements? What are functional requirements and what are non-functional requirements? So first, let's talk about what are non-functional requirements. See, any requirements such as response time, right? Performance, right? What are these? Non-functional requirements. Security requirement, right? The website should be highly responsive, right? The response time should be very quick, right? Or low. The website should be highly secured so that, and so that no issues related to payment should happen, right? The website should be very scalable. If number of concurrent users are very high, still website should be able to function. So these performance requirements or not? Are these performance requirements or not?
Yes.
So these are all
Yes,
functional
Pankaj.
requirements. So these are all non-functional requirements, right? Now, what are functional requirements? Tell me. What are functional requirements?
Those requirements that align with stakeholder requirements?
Yes, that's true. The functional requirements in order to fulfill, right, the stakeholder
Yes.
requirements, we need functional as well as non-functional requirements, right?
Okay. So
So, but what are functional? See, I discussed non-functional requirements, which are more performance related. What are functional requirements?
Features?
No, features are stakeholder requirements.
Right.
But to achieve features, we have to have some functions, right, to be there.
Yeah, it's a basic requirement, like for example, in any website, like how to create account or
Yes, how
how
to
to check.
achieve? No,
Yeah.
how to achieve stakeholder requirements?
Yeah.
You need functional or non-functional requirement or not?
Yeah.
Both. Right. Now, functional requirement is to achieve functionality. Right. See, a functional requirement ensures that your project or a product is fit for purpose, whereas non-functional requirement ensures that your project is fit for use. Are you getting my point or not? See, when you talk about functional fit for use and fit for purpose, a functional requirement makes your project, it tells you whether your project is fit for purpose, whereas non-functional requirement tells you whether it's fit for use or not. Now, what is the difference between fit for purpose and fit for use? Tell me, if a banking website has all the functions for you to transact, is it fit for purpose? It does perform all the functions.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right? But tell me, if it crashes when the load is heavy, is it fit for use? If it crashes multiple times in a day, when
No.
the number of, is it fit for use? No, right?
It's not.
No, right? So this is an example when something was fit for purpose but not fit for use. But tell me, can a website be fit for use but not fit for purpose? For example, if performance-wise banking website is great, it is highly secure, right? It never crashes, it is highly scalable, but it lacks an important feature such as, how to add a beneficiary to transact. For example, you can't add a beneficiary, right, to transfer money. So what you have to do is, you have to call the bank, get the beneficiary added, only then you can transfer the funds. So tell me, is it fit for purpose? Does it have all the functionalities?
No.
No, it doesn't have all the functionalities, right? So, a stakeholder requirement from a banking side should be, he should be able to transfer funds to anyone. Now, but to achieve this, we have to have functional requirements. For example, a beneficiary, there should be a feature of adding the beneficiary. There should be a feature of validating the beneficiary through a one-time password or anything, right? So, how to achieve for achieving the stakeholder requirement, you require both functional and non-functional requirements. Functional requirements are basically the features, whereas non-functional requirements are performance related. Is that okay?
Yes, Pankaj.
So you got what is solution requirements, Mohit? What are solution requirements?
Yeah, clear.
Right? Now, what are project requirements? Project requirements are basic requirements that, what are the expectations from the project in terms of schedule, cost, and time, right? Every project should be completed within a stipulated time frame. It should deliver a particular scope, right, within particular budget, and the quality requirements of the project, they will be project requirements. Now, what are transition requirements? What are transition requirements, guys? Do projects have temporary requirements or not? Do projects sometimes have some temporary, right? For example, now I'll take a very simple example, right? We can take some non-IT example also. See, builders often create a separate demo flat. Have you seen, when you go and buy any flat in a township, right? Sometimes builder create a temporary sample flat, which is often destroyed once the construction is done. Can I call it as a transition requirement? Any kind of a temporary requirement. So another example could be, suppose you are migrating from old legacy systems, right, to cutting edge technology. Now, for some time, you have data in both the systems, right? You have data in both the systems, right? So that, you ensure that the new system is stable. So after the new system is stable, will you destroy the parallel environment in the old legacy system or not?
Yeah, you shut it down.
Right. So any kind of temporary requirement, right, is a transition requirement. Only for the transition period, you will have that requirement in place. Once the transition is successful, signed off, you destroy it. Right? Is that okay? So are you okay with the differences between business requirements, stakeholder requirements, solution requirement, project requirement, and transition requirements?
Yeah.
Right? Now,
Yeah.
a very, very important concept, which is requirement traceability matrix, right? Now, before requirement traceability matrix, I think we have skipped certain topics. One is multi-criteria decision analysis, right? Now, this is an example of multi-criteria decision analysis, right? Suppose we have, it can be used with respect to requirements also. It can be used with respect to, selecting a particular variant of a product, right? For example, suppose you have various alternatives, right, to be produced, like mobile 1, mobile 2, mobile 3. They may be different variants of a mobile, right? And they have to be selected based on the criteria of price, storage space, camera, and looks, right? So which variant should you select? Should you select mobile 1, mobile 2, or mobile 3? Again, this is one context in which you use multi-criteria decision analysis. Multi-criteria decision analysis can be used in other areas also. For example, in selecting a human resource, right, out of multiple resources. It can be used for vendor selection also, right? But in this context, we are talking about using multiple criteria decision analysis from the context of the requirements, right? From the context of which variant of the product should we select, right? So different variants of mobile phones are put together here, right? And they are these are the attributes like price or cost, storage space, camera, or looks, right? So they're given ratings. They're given ratings based on price, storage space, camera, and looks, right? Now, lower the price, better it is, right? For the same set of features, right? So now mobile 1 scores 0.8 in terms of price, right? 0.5 in terms of storage space, right? Camera 0.75 and looks 1. Now see, lower the price, better, the more the points, right? For example, mobile phone 2 here is cheaper than mobile 1, right? Because the score is higher. right? And the storage space wise, it is 0.5, camera is 0.5, and looks is 0.6. So you have to create a scale like this. When will you give 1.6 or point rating based on some set of attributes, right? Now tell me, in this case, which mobile variant should you select? If you have to compare all the mobiles based on price or storage space or camera or looks.
It depends on the requirement of an individual.
Which one?
It depends on the requirement of an individual.
Yeah, no, so yeah. But again, if suppose we have as a company, I have to launch a mobile. So, I have to go with the mass one, right?
Average.
So suppose, what is the score of mobile one? Total score. See, mobile one has been rated on price,
3.05.
right? 3.05, right?
Yeah. 2.6.
Right. This is how much? 2.6, right?
Yeah.
2.6. And how much is the third one?
3.46.
What then? This
Again,
is
3. 3.
3. And this is
2.7, 2.8. So go with mobile 3.
So we'll go with which one? Mobile
3.
Now see, here in this was simply an example. So what we have done is we have given equal weightages to price, cost, storage space, camera, and looks. Now tell me, should we give equal weightages, or depending on my market strategy, my market positioning, or my requirement as a company, I can give different weights also to these different attributes. For example, for a particular mobile phone I'm launching, right? Aesthetics, right? Looks are more important as compared to other features. So can I give it a weight of 2 or 3 rather than 1? Can I give different weights also?
Yes, definitely.
Right? Because, this is, see, again, it's not necessary that, I need equal weights to all. For example, in a price sensitive market, can I give a weight of 2 or 3 to price? So then, if let's say I have given a weight of 2 to price, then, wherever price is coming, I have to multiply it by 2.
But Pankaj, in that situation, like if it is already like a price sensitive, then we need to go with price only, isn't it?
No, but again, it's not solely on price sensitivity, right? Because
Yeah.
we have to see other features also. People demand storage space also. So what I mean to say is, I can give weightages like this: 3 to price, 2 to storage space, 1 to camera, maybe looks only 0.5. So we can change the weightages. So see, again, no market will be completely price sensitive, right?
Yeah, of course.
So apart from price sensitive market, they will expect some good features like good storage space also, right? At least some level of camera also, aesthetics also. Yes or no, Mohit?
Yes, definitely. Agree.
Right. So again, this is not a requirement generation technique. It is more like, comparing. See, for example, if you have multiple options, right? In a product launch environment, often you have to see customer, right? What kind of customer you are catering to? Are you targeting to masses or only specific or niche customers, right? So if you have multiple variants of mobile right, that you can launch in the market, which is the one, right, you should go ahead with based on your market, right? Then you can use multi-criteria selection, decision analysis, right? Now, this technique can be used for resource selection also, human resource selection or machine selection, right? Or vendor selection also. Now, tell me, can I use this technique for selecting the human resource? Suppose if I have to use this technique for human resource selection, this mobile 1, mobile 2 will be replaced by resource by R1, R2, R3, or maybe by Ankush, Mohit, Divya, right, Preeti, right, and Mayank. right? I can have this choice, and
Yes.
here, right, in place of price, I'll have skills,
Skills. Yeah.
stability, number of years of experience, cost to the company, those factors, right?
Yeah, that is
So
what we generally do for hiring.
yeah, this is a very, see, I'll tell you, they have named it multi-criteria decision analysis, right? But this kind of matrix exists from long back. In fact, I still remember when we had to choose between various technologies, right? We would use a concept called as design trade-off matrix, right? Which was very similar to this. So by various other names, you might be using it for, in other context also. Similarly, if we have to select a vendor, right? Vendor 1, vendor 2, vendor 3. Attributes can be again the cost, skill, the size, multiple stability, and multiple other feedback from the previous vendors. So based on that, you can select a vendor. So there also you can use multi-criteria decision analysis, right? So is that okay?
Yes, Pankaj.
Right? Now, see, we have been collaborating, right? We have been collaborating on requirements, right? Now, see, obviously there would be difference in opinion. So there was one slide on decision making that I skipped, right? How to take decision, right? See, people will not arrive at consensus so easily, right? So these are some of the decision making techniques which are being followed, right? Now these are old ones. These are old ones. Nowadays, as I showed you earlier, we use fist of five, right? Decision spectrum and those techniques. Now, one technique is unanimity. Suppose there is a conflict, right? Or suppose a requirement has to be included, right? Now, we are talking about requirement because the context is requirement. This can be used in any decision-making situation, right? So we decide we will only include this requirement into the project if everyone agrees, right? If everyone agrees, we can use this requirement, right, into the project. This is called as unanimity. Is this okay? Unanimity means we will agree to the requirement only if everybody agrees, right? For example, we are 6 people. If we all 6 agree that this requirement has to be included, right, then only it has to be included. This is called as unanimity. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Is that okay, guys? Right. Now, majority means, out of 6 of us, right? If four out of 6 of us, if 4 out of 6 of us agrees that this requirement should be included, is it a majority or not? Is it a majority or not?
Yes, Pankaj.
Right. So this is majority. Now let's look at plurality also, right? Suppose we are divided, right? Now, 3 of us says, we are 6 people, 3 says it should be included. 2 says it should not be included. And 1 say, I'm not sure. Now, in this case, how many groups are there?
3.
3. Now, but is there any majority? No majority is there. So if we are going by plurality means go with the group that has highest vote. So the first group that says that requirement should be included 3 is the group that has highest votes or not?
Yeah.
Right? So this is called as plurality when you go with the biggest group. Though we are not achieving majority, but still you go ahead with you take a decision based on the section or a group that has a larger number of votes. This is plurality. So are you getting the meaning of plurality?
What is the difference between plurality and majority?
Yeah, there's a difference. Now, let me see if I can show you through a diagram, which will make it very easy. Because many times it is difficult to, just a second.
Pankaj, in single word, we can simply say like a majority means it's more than 50% of the total numbers, but
Yes, yes, more
plurality
than
is something like
yeah,
the high.
plurality can be less than 50, but the
Yeah,
larger section. Let me show a
correct.
simple diagram. Actually, I think a diagram with a diagram can make it simple. Right? Just a second. I'm just showing you a diagram. Just a second. Now, Divya, can you understand with this diagram? Now, if you see this diagram, more than 50% vote went to green. It's a clear majority.
Right.
Now, if you see this one, there are three groups, but has anyone achieved more than 50%?
No.
No. But which has achieved the larger one? The green one? Green one has received the larger section, right?
So we are saying that we are for majority, we are setting up the limit that it's that 50%
More than
is the
50,
limit.
the
Yeah.
minimum, right? If
Yeah,
we decide that okay, we'll take a decision based on majority, that means more than 50%. For example, we are 6 people, more than 3, at least 4 people should go for, if they say out of 6 of us, if at least 4 should say, right, yes, then only we'll go with that.
So we're setting up the limit, right?
Right?
If
Yes, minimum
this is
limit. Yeah, maximum can be anything, but minimum should be 50%. But in
Like
plurality,
elections in India.
plurality.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But in plurality,
We are
despite
not
the
setting up any limit. We are
yeah,
just
we are less
getting
than
the
50.
maximum.
We are less than
Yeah.
50, but this group is the biggest in terms of in favor of requirement, right?
Got it.
So we are going with a larger section of vote without attaining a majority, right? This is plurality.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Now, what is autocratic?
But before that, like Pankaj, one
Yeah.
question, like which one is better? Of course, it depends on situation, but
See, I, see, I will say majority or autocratic.
okay.
See, I'll not in requirements, either you go with majority, right? Or as a project manager, right? If you know, again, it depends on the nature of requirement actually,
Correct. Correct.
right? It depends on the nature of requirement.
Yes.
But plurality is still hanging, I believe, right? When it boils down to the context of requirement. So I think I'll avoid plurality, but sometimes as a project manager, you might have handled a situation, a particular kind of situation multiple
Yes.
times, right?
Yes.
And so go with autocratic, right?
Exactly.
Or right, go with majority, because I personally feel unanimity is hard to achieve. Many times, see, if you are getting unanimity, is well and good, right? But do you think it's so easy to get unanimity for everything?
No.
No, right? So I think unanimity, majority, or autocratic. But nowadays, I don't know why they have retained it here, because they have used very modern techniques also. Nowadays, people say that people can, they prefer another technique, right? You remember we discussed about fist of 5. Fist of 5 means, if you completely agree, you show 5 fingers, right? If you agree slightly less, you can show 4 fingers, then 3 fingers, then 2 fingers, then 1 finger, right? And every finger is a vote, right? And you go with a decision when the average is 3 or more, right? And definitely you'll talk to people who have raised less than 3 fingers, right? 1 or 2 finger. And if you don't show any finger, right, then this means that you are not totally against that decision. Remember, we discussed about fist of 5 voting in
Yes.
Agile. See, fist of 5 means, you follow an approach where 5
No.
fingers means you completely agree.
No, Pankaj, I believe we in morning batch, no.
No, you did it. Actually, we did it. Let me show you fist of 5. Yeah, we did. Let me show you once again. This is also a technique, right? Let me show you. I'll quickly show you the technique, right?
Okay.
Just a second.
Good.
Can you see this?
No, we did not go through this. No.
Right. So this is fist of 5. Like this.
No.
Now, fist of 5, if I display all the 5 fingers, that means I agree by 5 points, right? If I don't show any finger like this, that means I disagree. For example, if we are 6 people here, right? That means total number of votes that we have is how many? 30. Each finger can count towards a vote, right? So suppose on average, right, the average of our voting is more than 3 or above, will take the requirement. If it is below, will not take the requirement, right? Is that okay? So this is fist of 5. Are you following it, Mohit?
Yeah.
Right.
Understood.
Right. Now, just like this, there is a concept of Roman voting also, right? In Roman voting, you can agree, disagree, or you can, right? See, individuals would either a thumbs up agreement or a thumbs down, right? This is what we did actually, right? Roman voting.
No,
While arriving at
no, Pankaj, we did not go through this.
no, the term is new, but it's same, yes or no.
Yeah, that's clear. That's clear.
Yeah, right.
Understood. Yeah, that's clear.
Right.
This is
Guys,
very useful.
That's
It's
right.
a useful.
But again, see, nowadays fist of 5 is a lot used, right, for decision making.
Yeah.
Right. See, again, in a larger group, fist of 5. See, in fist of 5, we go with average. If 3 or average is 3 or more, we agree. But again, even despite the fact we agree on a requirement, we will speak to the people who have not raised any finger or who are less than 3, like who have shown only 1 or 2 fingers, right? We'll address their concerns.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about a very, very important topic, which is requirement traceability matrix.
But what is the difference between like majority and autocratic?
Yeah.
Autocratic is forceful.
Okay.
Dictatorship.
Okay.
See, see, whether you say do this, see, my way or highway, right? See, Mohit is a project manager. Mohit has handled 20 such projects before, right? Whereas the team is new, right? And Mohit know for 100% sure this is the requirement that will exist.
Yeah, understood.
So Mohit will say this has to be there.
It's
Right?
top-down approach. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yes. So many times you do it actually. See, and tell me, tell me in a real environment. Tell me in a real environment, do you think sometimes dictatorship or autocratic is in a soft way, right? But taking a decision in this way is important. What do you think? See, will you be following consultative approach all the time, or sometimes autocratic can also be done?
Yeah, autocratic also.
But what do you think, Preeti and Divya and Ankush? What do you think? Should it be consultative approach? See, consultative is actually purely consultative is a unanimity, right? Should it be always a collaborative or consultative approach, or sometimes it can be autocratic?
Sometimes it can be autocratic depending on the type of decision we have to take. And there are chances that we are sure that unanimity will make confusions.
What do you think, Preeti?
Yeah, I think autocratic.
But
Sometimes,
Yeah,
rare,
sometimes,
very rare.
very rare,
Yeah.
but sometimes. See, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is required. See, देखो, I'll give you one example. I see, I am a professor at a college, right, which is Birla Institute of Management and Technology, right, BMTech. Now, even the MBA students, right, the MBA students, final year students, right, what is their perception? देखो, वो सोचते हैं कि उनसे वो बहुत ही इंटेलिजेंट है, उन्हें सब कुछ आता है, right? But see, after a lot of industry expertise, we know that what is required. अगर आप किसी MBA कॉलेज को देख के बच्चे देख लोगे, right, वो सोचेंगे कि सब कुछ ही आता है उन्हें. तो वहां पे अगर आपको डिसीजन लेना है, देखो, see, you will never be in a position to take every decision following unanimity or a consultative approach, because in a project you are time constrained. Yes or no? What do you think, Mohit?
Yes, understood. Like, for example, if it's a agile team, like, okay, you can go with majority, but if something like a unexperienced team, then you need to take some autocratic.
Yeah. And and when you say majority, because I gave you example of mind maps.
Mhm.
In the affinity diagram, I told you that I saw the requirement of data integration project getting consolidated, right, in half an hour, right,
Mhm.
through affinity technique, through
Yeah.
affinity diagramming technique. But all these people were 25-30 years of experience, people who sit together and who have a lot of experience in data integration project, right?
Correct.
So again, depends on the nature of the team, the kind of people you have, right? Always you can't play with collaboration.
Yes.
Now, we are going with a very, very important topic, which is called as Requirement Traceability Matrix, right? Now, what is Requirement Traceability Matrix, right? First, I'll give you the basic definition. I'll show you 2-3 different Requirement Traceability Matrix, though in the current PMI documentation, they have shown this only. Now, tell me, should every requirement fulfill some business need, opportunity, or goals, or any kind of project objectives or not? Every requirement, right? Every requirement, right? These are requirements. Should every requirement fulfill some business goal, project objective or not, or business need or not? Every requirement should be aligned, right? If a requirement is not fulfilling a business need or opportunity or a goal or an objective, should it be eliminated or not?
Yes, Pankaj.
It should be eliminated, right?
Yeah.
So one aspect of requirement traceability is a backward traceability. A backward traceability means that every requirement should be mapped to the business need, opportunities, goals or objectives or project objectives. This is called as backward traceability. Is backward traceability clear?
Yeah.
Now, the second is forward traceability. Every requirement should be delivered, right? That means it should be part of some deliverable, right? Can you see requirement here being mapped to WBS deliverables?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And every requirement should be tested. Right? Now, when I say every requirement should be part of a deliverable and it should be tested, it is called as forward traceability. Right? So requirement traceability matrix is a very, very important tool to manage the requirements. It ensures that every requirement aligns to, right, a business need or a business goal or a project objective, which is called as backward traceability. And it also ensures that every requirement, right, or a change should be delivered, right, through a WBS deliverable, and every requirement is properly validated or tested, which is called as forward traceability. Is this okay?
Yes.
Yes, welcome.
Right. So now, if you want, I can show you some other requirement traceability matrix also, right? And this is a very, very important document. I personally feel it's a very, very important document.
Yeah.
Now, are you okay, Mayank? Are you okay with this?
Yep.
Right. Mohit, are you okay?
Yeah, clear.
Clear, right? Now, do you want to see some more requirement traceability matrix, or you're okay with this one?
No,
Right,
no,
let me-
please share some more examples.
Yeah. Because see, this is one of a kind of format. You can have any of the format. The purpose is to manage requirements, right? Let me show you some other formats of requirement traceability as well. Now, this is a very elaborate one. This is also a requirement traceability matrix. Now, look at this carefully.
It should be used in business or stakeholder requirements. Okay, like, is there any specific things here? Like, we need to check.
Yeah, so in this, obviously, the backward traceability remains the same, right? See, this is a high. See, first of all, can you demarcate between 001 and 1.0, 1.1? 001 are high-level requirements.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
For example, order management system can be a high-level requirement. Now, the detail level requirement can be, the individual requirement, like, wish list, shopping cart, integration with payment gateways, and so on, right? So this traceability matrix is mapping in the backward traceability is mapping the detail level requirement with the high level requirement, and then mapping all the requirements with the business need, opportunity, goals, right, and project objectives. This is about the backward traceability. Now, in forward traceability, every requirement is mapped to a WBS deliverable plus the product design and development component. For example, if the relevant component of the design, for example, we have to ensure that every requirement should be considered into deliverable, the design, and the source code, right? The product development is a source code, right? A program, right? And every requirement is tested. This is the forward traceability. So they have included, one is, in the backward traceability, they have included both high level and detail level requirements, right? The high level requirement may be in charter, whereas detailed requirements are there in the requirement documentation. And they're in the forward traceability, they are not only mapping each requirement with a deliverable and the test cases, they have mapped it with the design and development components also. They have to, this is to ensure that every requirement is included in the deliverable. It is properly designed, that it is considered while designing, and there is a source code for development as well. It is mapped to the source code, right? The relevant program as well. This is one format of traceability matrix. It is more exhaustive and elaborate. Now, a requirement traceability matrix can be a very simple format like this also. For example, in this, we have only business requirements, functional requirements, right? And the test scenarios.
Pankaj, this should be done at which stage, like in a project?
See, this should be done while, before the scope is, or, the requirement traceability will start with the, just before the scope, right? Now, it should be maintained throughout. For example, obviously when the scope is signed off, you have to have, it should reflect in requirement traceability matrix, but it's an ongoing process because change requests will keep on coming.
Correct,
So
correct.
change request will also be added here. So
Yeah,
it's a document which is regularly maintained.
correct. Yeah.
See, if you give any business analysis exam, right? In any BA exam, there will be 2 or 3 questions, 3 to 4 questions on requirement traceability matrix, whether it's a business analysis from IIB or PMI. It's a very important document for requirements management. So is that okay? Are you okay with
So
requirement?
Pankaj, tell me one thing, doing this requirement gathering at the start where you're doing that scope of work versus when you actually do a project and get into that requirement gathering phase of doing workshops, etc.
Yes.
So is it, I mean, you use the same document for both the phases, or you do a different document later and do a requirement traceability matrix only at the starting?
No. Requirement traceability matrix same should be maintained throughout.
Okay.
Right? Same should be maintained throughout, yes.
So for example, if it is an agile project, then do you put in user stories in a requirement traceability matrix against a bigger requirement?
Yes. You can do yes.
Okay.
See, you can make it very simple, right? Map your user stories with a business objective and test scenarios. That's it.
Right, but I was just wondering, doing it right at the project scope phase, because that is when generally not everybody gets involved, right, in a project, and only workshops is when you get more clarity with the right stakeholders.
I think both. It should be because you beyond the scoping also new requirements will keep on coming in agile as well. Right?
Yeah.
In a traditional also new changes will come. So those changes have to be entered here in requirement traceability matrix.
Okay. And who should put in these requirements? Should it come from the product owner, or should it come from the project manager?
You require a BA skills for doing it, right? For creating requirement traceability matrix, you need a typical business analysis skills, right? So it can be a member of the development team who is a BA, who has a background of BA. Because product owner is a very broad function, right? So product owner might not have a time to complete this.
Right.
but I think this helps. For example, can you see that requirement is mapped to multiple test scenarios here?
Yeah.
Now this ensures that you have properly tested the requirement also.
But having test scenarios right in the beginning is going to be a little difficult, right? I mean, practically.
So see, this is, you can't develop the entire requirement traceability matrix at a single shot, right? It should be done over a period of time.
Got it. So it is initially you just capture high level requirements and what other functional requirements that you can.
Because initially when you are developing requirement traceability matrix, you don't have your scope statement, you don't have your work breakdown structure, right? Initially, it will be simply the business objectives, business goals, the high level requirement and detail level requirement, right? Then as you build your work breakdown structure, right, these requirements will be mapped to the deliverables that will fulfill them, right? And as you move forward, you will map it to the test cases also.
Right. Understood.
Right. And then later, once the basic is ready, later it has to be maintained, right? Because there will be new changes have to be aligned to the business needs, they have to be delivered and they have to be tested also.
Yes.
But it's a relevant and important document.
Okay.
Right. So that's all we have for requirement generation, right? I think now we should focus on our exam preparation and try to practice as many questions as possible from LMS, right? Yes or no? And Divya, I'll just review and submit your form today.
Okay.
Right? So don't worry. Yeah, I saw your message, so I'll do it today.
Okay.
So, and in between, if we have any doubts, we can meet.
Sure.
So, have we started practicing question? I know Ankush was doing it, right? Divya, have you started practicing questions from online LMS?
Yes.
Because that is, how much score are you getting?
Oh, I haven't started with the test, but I'm just going through
Start testing. Start with the tests, right? Do it open book. Look at Google. Look at every possible thing, right? But start doing it because ultimately, those are the most important ones. See, practicing question is the most important thing. Preeti, did you start practicing questions?
Yes, Pankaj, I have.
Yeah. So please start practicing question. That is more important for exam perspective. Right. So shall we wind up here now?
Yes.
Shall we wind? So thank you very
Pankaj.
much. Have a great day and please, keep preparing for the exam, right? All the best. And we'll be in
Pankaj,
touch.
one question. Are we going to be doing any more clone questions?
Yes, we'll do. Not next week, not today. Next week, we'll again start with the clone questions. Yes.
Okay. So when you say next week, you mean the weekend
Saturday.
or Monday?
Weekend. Saturday and Sunday.
Weekend. So the weekend. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So let's keep practicing. And, in the group, we can discuss. And if required, we'll have a Zoom meeting in between the weekdays also.
Sure.
Right. But keep practicing questions because theory won't help a lot.
Yes.
One more thing, Pankaj, going through those exams, I have not seen any numericals pop up on any of those.
See, I'll tell you, no. So the reason is, these days they are not giving numericals.
Okay, so should not bother about because I was going to start revising those.
See, I'll tell you, even if a numerical comes, it's a very basic numerical on CPI, SPI.
SPI,
right?
yeah.
Very basic numerical.
I saw
very
that,
basic.
Yeah, once or twice it is there, but yeah.
Once or twice and very simple, Mohit. Very simple question.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
PMI is not going into forecasting, right, or TCPI. They're only asking a very simple question related to SPI, CPI, or
CPI
CBAP.
only. Yes.
Yeah. So, and they have stopped giving a lot of numericals. I think, see, one of the reason is, they have made this PMP exam more IT specific.
Yeah.
Right,
It's
more
true.
IT specific. Right?
It's
So, and they have come out with a separate exam for construction industry. So,
that is where it started, right? Project management.
Yeah. So, because, construction people were complaining that, the many people have said to me, this exam, because they want, construction people still expect, critical path, right? Earned value management, those things. Float, free float, they are still relevant for them. So numericals will be relatively very less in the exam or negligible in the exam. Right. So all the best, guys, and we'll be in touch. Right.
Sure, Pankaj. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Bye. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.